Tonight, when temperatures drop, you adjust a thermostat and forget about it. For nearly all of human history, that same drop in temperature could kill you before sunrise. No blanket pulled from a closet, no furnace humming in the background. Just you, the dark, and a cold that didn't care whether you woke up. So how did our ancestors survive nights that could freeze an unprepared person to death in hours? The answer starts with something surprising. Bodies, not flames. Humans are pack animals, and for most of our history, sleeping meant sleeping in a pile. Anthropologists studying groups like the Hadza of Tanzania and the Yuhuansi of the Kalahari have documented entire family groups, sometimes 10 or more people, curling up together under one shelter. A single human body radiates heat roughly equivalent to a 100-watt heater running all night. Multiply that by 8 or 10 people in an enclosed space, and you've built a heating system that never needs refueling. This is why early shelters were small, not from scarce materials, but because a smaller space holds heat better. Sites from the Upper Paleolithic, some over 20,000 years old, show structures barely large enough to fit their occupants shoulder to shoulder. That wasn't poor design, that was the design. But bodies alone weren't enough during the Ice Age, when glacial conditions gripped much of Europe and Asia for tens of thousands of years. That kind of cold required insulation. This is where fur stopped being decoration and became survival equipment. Bone needles found in Russia and Central Europe, dating back more than 40,000 years, show humans were sewing fitted clothing, not just draping skins over their shoulders. Researchers studying the DNA of human body lice trace the origin of clothing to roughly 170,000 years ago, based on when skin lice and clothing lice split into separate species. Clothing is older than agriculture, older than pottery, older than almost everything we associate with civilization. Then there was the ground itself. Cold doesn't only come from the air, it pulls directly out of your body through contact with the earth, a process called conductive heat loss, and it can kill faster than cold air alone. Ancient humans solved this with pine boughs, dried grass, moss, and hides laid beneath sleeping bodies. A 23,000-year-old hearth site in Israel shows woven plant bedding that was deliberately constructed, not just piled up. Some groups dug into the earth itself. Partially sunken pit houses used the surrounding soil as natural insulation, since ground temperature a few feet down stays remarkably stable. A shelter dug 3 or 4 feet into the earth could stay dozens of degrees warmer than the open air on a brutal winter night. And here's a detail almost nobody learns in school. Ancient humans used heated stones the way we use electric blankets. Stones placed near a fire absorbed heat slowly over hours, then were wrapped in hide and moved into the sleeping area, releasing heat long after the flames died down. Fire-cracked rock found at many sites suggests this was routine, not occasional. So what happened when the fire actually went out, hours before dawn? This is where human behavior gets almost ritualistic. Studies of cold climate foragers today, in Siberia and the subarctic, show coordinated waking patterns through the night. Someone wakes, checks the fire, adds fuel, returns to sleep. Anthropologists call this fire-tending behavior, and it may explain why humans never evolved true hibernation. We didn't need to. We had each other, and we had a rotation. Some researchers argue this nightly cycle is one of the earliest forms of cooperative labor in human history. Someone had to stay alert. Everyone else had to trust them enough to sleep. That trust, repeated nightly for hundreds of thousands of years, may have shaped the foundations of human social bonding itself. So picture it, not a lone figure gritting their teeth against the cold, but a pile of bodies under fur, on dried grass, above heated stones, inside a shelter dug into warm earth, with one person quietly waking every few hours to feed a fire the whole group depended on. It wasn't luck. It wasn't toughness. It was an engineered system, built from cooperation, clothing, geography, and an intuitive grasp of heat physics, refined over hundreds of thousands of nights until it simply worked. We solved staying warm so completely that we forgot it was ever a problem worth solving at all.